Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Lauren, and I work with the Emergency Management Office here at the Region of Waterloo. And I'm joined today by Emily Charon from the Canadian Red Cross. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. I also acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today. In celebration of Emergency Preparedness Week, Emily will be sharing information about personal preparedness, helping us develop our preparedness mindset. Emergency Preparedness Week is a national event supported by Public Safety Canada and is an opportunity for citizens to take action to ensure we are prepared to protect ourselves, our family, and our community during an emergency. Emergency Preparedness Week runs from May 7th to May 13th, and this year's provincial theme is A Safe, Practiced, and Prepared Ontario. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Emily.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm so pleased to be able to share this important message of emergency preparedness in recognition of the 2023 Emergency Preparedness Week. My name's Emily Charon, and I'm an emergency management coordinator with the Canadian Red Cross. I work with communities like the Region of Waterloo to help prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters and emergencies. I want to thank you for taking the time to view this webinar. By doing so, you are taking a step towards improving your own and our collective emergency preparedness. Today, we're going to be talking about how to be prepared for disasters before they strike. Many of us have felt the impact of a flood, a house fire, a snowstorm, an ice storm, and most recently, we have all felt the impact from a global pandemic, another unforeseen emergency. Have you ever thought about what you can do to be prepared? Now more than ever is the time to learn how to be ready. Today, we'd like to share with you about how you can be prepared in the event of a disaster or emergency. Today's session will address how to be prepared for a disaster or emergency with 3 key steps to emergency preparedness, what to do if a disaster or emergency occurs, and how you can make a difference. At the end of this session, you'll have the tools and information you need to be an advocate for emergency preparedness. Before we begin learning about emergency preparedness, I'd like to share a bit about how the Canadian Red Cross supports Canadians during emergencies. The Red Cross is one of the largest humanitarian organizations on the planet. In Canada, we assist an average of 126 Canadians every day and respond to a disaster every 3 hours. Disasters happen every day, and it's important to be prepared. Each year, an average of 60,000 Canadians receive assistance from Red Cross following an emergency or disaster. 95% of those Red Cross responses in the last year have been for personal disasters, such as house fires or house floods. The Canadian Red Cross helps during emergencies by training responders, providing registration and information, shelter and lodging, food and water, and hygiene and comfort kits. We offer mental health and psychosocial support, and we provide direct financial assistance. One thing we've learned from the COVID-19 pandemic is that you could experience a major emergency at any time. It's important that we remain prepared and build a personal emergency plan for when the next unforeseen emergency occurs. We expect disasters and emergencies around the world to increase in intensity and frequency in the coming years. A recent example of a large-scale emergency that you might be familiar with was Hurricane Fiona, which impacted large parts of Atlantic Canada. You may have friends, family members, or loved ones who were impacted by this emergency. In the aftermath of Hurricane Fiona, the Canadian Red Cross responded to provide emergency support. We mobilized more than 240 Red Cross personnel to provide emergency shelter, distribute financial assistance, and provide other emergency social services. You can take steps now to prepare for emergencies before they strike. Studies show that only 1 in 6 people will do something to prepare for an emergency that will help reduce their risks. Being prepared means thinking about possibilities. And today, while we talk about emergency preparedness, we know that each person has a very different context and situation. However, we know that by taking the practical steps outlined in this session, preparing helps us stay safe, adapt to challenges, and recover more quickly. What you learned today will help you consider how you can make your preparedness plan that addresses your unique needs. There are 3 key steps you can take to help be ready. Step 1 is to know the risks. Ensure you have an idea of the hazards and risks in your area. Step 2 is to make a plan. Take the time to think about or discuss with your loved ones, friends, neighbors, colleagues, and employees. Talk about hazards and risks, what you would do, where you would meet, what evacuation route you would take, and what you might need to bring with you. Step 3 is to build or buy a kit. Have a ready-to-go kit for your house or your car with things you would need to be away from your home for at least 3 days. We'll go over the contents in more detail during the presentation. We'll start to make a start on these steps today, but it's important that you discuss and complete these steps with your support network. Step 1 is to know the risks. Knowledge is powerful. Not every community is at the same risk for the same hazards. Understanding the unique hazards that affect the community where you live and work is a crucial first step in becoming better prepared for emergencies and disasters. In this section, we'll discuss common hazards and how they might impact you, how risks impact you directly, such as a home fire, or impact your wider community, such as flooding or a storm. In the region of Waterloo, there are many hazards that affect people daily. They range from house fires and floods to winter weather, water disruptions, and infectious disease. Knowing the hazards and understanding how you and your community are at risk will help you be prepared. Disasters often follow natural hazards, and the severity depends on how much impact the hazard has on society and the environment. For example, flooding is prevalent in some areas of the country, including the region of Waterloo, and is now calculated as the costliest disaster affecting Canadians, with an average cost of $43,000 per household to repair damages. Flooded household members are forced to take days off work due to flooding. Over half of flooded households with at least one working member took time off work. The average was 7 days per flooded household, which was 10 times the Ontario average for non-flooded households. Understanding your level of risk to these hazards is based on your exposure and vulnerability to them, as well as your capacity to reduce or cope with their potential harm. Some factors to consider in assessing your risk include considering if you live alone or in a household with other people, if you have children or people who need additional support due to health or mobility issues, if you live in a high-rise, a basement apartment, or a house, if you have insurance, or if you've completed household actions for flood risk mitigation, like installing a sub pump, or home fire actions, such as installing smoke detectors. If you're comfortable navigating the internet, we encourage you to look at your municipal or community website. Otherwise, consider calling or visiting their office to find out more information about your local hazards and risks. Take a moment to look online to see what risks are in your community by visiting the Government of Canada's resources at getprepared.gc.ca. We also suggest that you sign up for local alerts.
Alert Waterloo Region is a service that allows residents to receive important public safety messages in the event of large-scale emergencies such as floods, severe weather, or significant power outages. To be in the know and stay informed in emergencies, be sure to subscribe to the system to get alerts through your choice of phone call, text message, or email. You could do so by visiting the website listed here, or you can scan this QR code with your smartphone. Signing up with your cell phone number can be really helpful as you'll get alerts even if you aren't at home, or maybe you're traveling outside of the region or you're on your way into the region. But if you live, work, or play within the region of Waterloo, you should absolutely subscribe to this service.
Step 2 is to make a plan. This is the step that should be personal to you, your family, and your household. Whether you live with your family, a roommate, alone, or with a pet, it's important that you make a plan. By creating and practicing your plan, you build your capacity to keep safe during an emergency. The Canadian Red Cross has an emergency preparedness planning document that we encourage you to read and consider. A plan does not need to be complicated. You don't need to complete it all at once. Pick a section that makes sense for you and get started, revisiting it frequently as you can make time. It should be a priority, but not overwhelming. Share your plan with your support network, such as friends and family. Having a plan means that you will know what to do to keep yourself and your household safe in an emergency. Your plan should be personal. Make sure to consider your unique situation. If you have children, ask yourself, what are the emergency plans for their schools or daycare? Make sure all contact information the school has is up to date. Have a plan in case daycares close during an emergency, such as a major storm or even during a pandemic. Older adults or individuals with specific needs, such as mobility considerations, even if they're short-term due to an injury or an operation, could affect your household's emergency planning needs. Consider extra time required to safely move people. Ensure that medication and mobility aids are available for your kids. If you have a caregiver support, they should also be made aware of the emergency plan. For older adults who are reliant on medical devices that require electricity, consider a plan to have backup power supplies in place, especially if required while sheltering in place. Finally, if you have pets, consider where your pets will be and how to evacuate with them. If you are unable to care for your pets due to an emergency, you may need to make arrangements with someone in your network. Consider who might help you out. Does your local animal shelter or other facility have pet shelter or boarding options? If you have livestock, Agriculture Canada and your municipality may have more information on specific preparedness and evacuation plans. As you make your plan, consider including the following. Write down important contact information, including cell and home phone numbers for all members of your household and an out-of-town contact. Designate a meeting place. Choose 2 meeting places, one outside your home and one outside your neighborhood, in case you're separated when leaving your home or while at work or school. Practice with your family. Make sure everyone is comfortable with the plan. Include important documents. This could include insurance, identification, banking information, or any other documents you might need if you're away from your home for an extended period of time. Make note of your pets. Add their names, the type of pet they are, and note the pet-friendly shelter options near you. Pets often cannot stay with people during an emergency, so it's important to consider that they may need their own shelter accommodations. Finally, ask yourself, does anyone in your household have special considerations? What are they? Often these needs are very specific to an individual, and information may not be easily available in an emergency. Step 3 is to build a kit. Some emergencies or disasters may force you to quickly evacuate. Other events might keep you inside for several days or longer, sometimes with limited access to things you rely on every day. First responders may not be able to get to you quickly. It pays to be self-sufficient for at least 3 days after a disaster. Emergency kits come in all shapes and sizes, depending on what you need. You can keep everything in one place, or at least know it's easily accessible in an emergency. There are many types and sizes of kits, but all must include items linked to warmth, water, and food. They must be personalized for your context. You may want to pin a note to the bag with any last-minute additional items you might need, like mobility items, glasses, medications, or things that you use every day. You never know when an emergency will occur. Your emergency preparedness kit should be created to last for at least 3 days or 72 hours. Consider stocking essential supplies for each household member. Don't forget to include supplies for your pets and entertainment for young children. In the case of a large household, consider creating and identifying bags for each household member and make sure they know where to find them. You can also keep additional grab-and-go bags in your car and at work. A workplace kit is integral to maintaining safe and healthy employees. We encourage that your employees also go through first aid and CPR training in the event of an emergency. You can advocate for safety at your workplace. We encourage you to create a health and safety team or a model for how to best operate in the office. If you don't know where to get products for your work, the Canadian Red Cross has workplace safety kits which include all types of first aid supplies. A car kit or vehicle emergency kit is important, particularly for winter safety in Canada. We know that storms can happen anytime here. Be prepared to help yourself and your household if you're stuck in your vehicle for an extended period of time. Keep your gas tank at least half full, and in the winter, or if a severe weather watch has been announced, 3/4 full is always better. If you have a driveway, park your car facing out, as this may allow you to save valuable minutes in the case of an evacuation. Have a kit ready in your car in case of a breakdown, flat tire, or even a storm that prevents you from reaching your destination. Consider keeping comfortable footwear in your kit or your car if you can't drive and you have to walk. It's important to note when you should not prioritize grabbing your kit. The exception is in a home fire or any other situation where danger is imminent. Get out quickly and safely. Do not stop. Your emergency kit will be personal to you and your needs. To help you get started on building your kit, visit canadianredcross.ca/be-ready. Some items to include that we recommend for all kits are water for drinking, water for cleaning, non-perishable food, PPE like gloves, masks, hand sanitizer, a can opener and utensils, prescriptions and baby supplies, and important documents. When you're creating your kit, consider the following cost-saving tips. Before you purchase anything, see what you already have in your home. You might be surprised to find that you already have first aid supplies and non-perishable food items, which will save you time and money. Start with essential items, then add additional items when you can. Keep a list of things that you need for your kit with you on your phone or in your purse or wallet, and when you're out doing your regular shopping, check your list and purchase items when they're on sale. Purchase a couple of items from your list each week or each month to help spread out the cost. And try asking your family or friends if they have any spare items they're not using that they might be willing to give you that are on your list. You might want to consider checking out garage sales or reaching out on social media as well. When you're buying food for your kit, consider buying items with a long shelf life. Check the best before dates on cans, boxes, and bags, and look for items that won't expire quickly. Make sure larger food items that you buy don't need to be refrigerated after they're open. And regularly check the best before and expiry dates on the food in your kit. When the date is getting close, take it out of the kit and you can eat the items and then replace them with a new item. Taking small steps towards being prepared will make a big difference during a disaster or emergency. It will be time and money well spent. To pack your kit, we recommend storing these items in a sturdy and easy to carry bag, such as a backpack that can be easily used and carried with you in an emergency. Store your kit in a clean, dry place that is easy to access in case you leave your home and evacuate quickly. Make sure everyone in your household knows where it is. I'd like to conclude with a few reminders. Know your risks, what hazards exist where you live and work. Consider your personal factors when assessing your risk to the hazards in your area, and remember to sign up for your local alerts. Make your plan. Know what to do before, during, and after an emergency. Create and practice your emergency plan. And finally, build or buy your kit, ensuring it's appropriate for your household needs. Before I go, I'd like to leave you with some things to consider if you have experienced a disaster or emergency. Remember that even if you're prepared, emergencies can be stressful. Following an emergency or disaster, a person may experience a range of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that can be intense, confusing, and frightening. These experiences may trigger responses that are both physical and psychological, which are expected reactions to very abnormal events. The stress reactions may last several weeks. If you experience an emergency and your symptoms persist and make it difficult to function normally over a long period of time, it's important that you seek help. One option is to contact a local health facility or a local crisis support line. If you're unsure where to go, you can call 211 to learn about your local options. Remember to regularly update your emergency plan, especially following a disaster or emergency. Each time you use your emergency plan, you'll learn new things, and you'll be able to refine your plan to suit your needs. Take the time to review and update your plan, and remember to restock your kit following an emergency. Finally, volunteer contributions are highly valued in our community and within many organizations, including the Canadian Red Cross. We encourage you to become a volunteer at any time. This is not limited to after an emergency or disaster. You can visit redcross.ca/volunteer to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise on behalf of the Canadian Red Cross. And thank you all for spending some time with us today. We hope this webinar was informative and makes you want to get out there and start on your preparedness journey yourselves. So thank you very much, everyone. Take care.